What is going on, everybody? What's good? What's good? Mic check. Can you guys hear me in the chat box? Let me know by dropping where it is that you're tuned in from today. Happy Friday. Trust you're all doing fantastic. We're going to get the session started here in the next 5 minutes or so. Be sure to blast this link out to anybody in your organization, any friends, family, whoever you'd like, because we're going to be live for CPI and there will be no capacity limit. All right. We're not going to be on Zoom for today. We're on YouTube, as you guys can see. So there's no, 100-person max like there was on Zoom. So feel free to blast this link out to whoever you think would find some value. And yeah, looking forward to today's session, man. We're gonna be trading CPI session or the CPI news release, I should say, live, which is gonna be amazing. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, you guys are as well. But in the meantime, continue enjoying the tunes. I'm gonna put a 5-minute timer on screen, and we're gonna get started as soon as this thing hits 0. So let's go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? What's good? What's good? Happy Friday. Let me know if you haven't already in the chat box where you're tuned in from this morning. Hopefully, you guys are looking forward to today's live CPI trading session. We've got people tapped in from all over the world, as usual. As usual, we love to see it. And I haven't actually streamed on OBS to YouTube in a minute, so hopefully my scenes are still somewhat okay. Let's see. Hey, there I am. Hey everybody. Let me see if I can get this situated real quick for you guys. Um and make sure that we're just ready to rock and roll here. Boom. All right, there's the chart window. Okay, amazing. We'd love to see that. And then okay, we got this scene too. Full face cam. Jeez. Jeez, the haircut's looking fire, ladies and gentlemen. The haircut's looking fire. All right, cool. Cool, guys. I think we're good to go. I think we got the scenes pretty much set up and good to go here. So, yeah, shout out to those of you guys that are tuned in from all over the world. We got Philippines in the building, Germany, Slovakia. We've got Jamaica, Alberta, UK, Sweden, Nigeria, Hungary, Oman. We got Cayman Islands in the building. Cool. That's dope. I'm going to be going on a cruise to the Cayman Islands in 2028. We got, let's see, Czechoslovakia in the building deep today. We love to see it. We love to see it. Yo, the Slovakians are taking over, ladies and gentlemen. It's the truth. You know, it's all Nina's fault. It's all Roland's fault. They're taking over in the chat box, ladies and gentlemen. They're taking over. Where is everybody else at? I mean, it's nothing but just Slovakia in the chat box. That's all I'm seeing, to be honest. Got Dubai, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Hungary, UAE in the house. Awesome. 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 Cool, guys. Well, jokes aside, appreciate you guys from tuning in from all over the world, regardless of where you're from. Okay, I'm currently out here in Montreal, Quebec, personally, and I love it here, to be honest. I love Montreal. Montreal is a beautiful spot. And yeah, man, I'm excited for today's session. Hopefully you guys are as well. We got Cyprus in the building. Let's go. Let's go. Amazing. Shannon, what's good? We got Ontario in the house. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Well, guys, before we get into the session, quick disclaimer, okay? I'm not going to have a visual one on screen, so I'm going to say this verbally in the chat box, or not in the chat box, but you guys can let me know and affirm with what I'm going to say in a second in the chat box. You can respond in the chat box, but this session is for educational purposes only. All right, none of what we're going to be going over is quote unquote financial advice. And any of the ideas, any of the areas, any of the trades, any of the opportunities that I decide to share on this session are simply for educational purposes. Um, trade with proper risk management if you decide to take any of the trades that I'm sharing on today's session, and trade responsibly. It's a news day today. We got big, high impact news in about 45 minutes. That's why we're here, to kind of break it down and share some opportunities. But at the end of the day, it comes down to your own decision making process and practicing proper and effective risk management that is going to allow you to see potentially fruitful results today's trading day, whether it's on this session or off this session. All right, so make sure to trade with proper risk. Make sure to use your discernment. If there's an idea that I share that you like, amazing, feel free to make your own decision as to whether or not you'd like to position yourself alongside myself. But again, it's all for educational and informational purposes. Today, I do have my co-host Lucy the cat with me, as you can see, and she's actually an even better trader than me. She's my mentor, so she might be making some appearances on this session, which we love to see. But let's get some ones in the chat for the disclaimer, and let's get some ones in the chat for Lucy, because Lucy is really holding it down. She's the superstar here, right, Lulu? Oui, c'est vrai. C'est très vrai. All right. Let us go ahead and dive right into it here. So a couple things. Firstly, this is the news event and the release that we're going to be trading today. For those of you that are unfamiliar with CPI, this is essentially a news event that's dropped once monthly. And it's, I would say, the one of the more like one of the top three most volatile news events that is released on a regular basis, month over month. This did get delayed by a couple days. This was supposed to come out on Wednesday when we had the NFP release come out, and the NFP release came out after being delayed from last Friday because of the whole government shutdown, partial shutdown, shenanigans, whatever. But essentially, CPI, specifically core CPI, this is the change in price of goods and services purchased by consumers. Uh, Directly, has to do with inflation as well. If we take a look at CPI M over M, again, change in price or change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers. And, it's the same thing, year over year, right? And this is, again, released monthly about 11 days after the month ends. And again, today it's, a couple of days late because of the whole government shutdown situation. But so this is what we're going to be trading. And these, this is one of the three news events that I trade consistently on a regular basis. And we've had some great results in doing live trading sessions, trading CPI, trading things like NFP, trading things like the federal funds rate or interest rate, interest rate news releases. But obviously, we could go over the analysis for today's session and I could be completely wrong. And that's just how it is sometimes as traders. Sometimes you get on the charts, you're like, this is my anticipation. And then something completely different happens, right? But we've been fairly decent with our accuracy for news events and specifically news trading, over the past year and a half. So, let's see if we can find some opportunities today. We'll be using the inverse fair value gap indicator, okay, to look for some potential opportunities. And we'll kind of overview this and get into that in some more detail when the time comes. We are releasing the V2 version to everybody that's inside the Primeverse community this weekend. So you'll have access to this, be fully in a position to use this over the weekend and going into next week. If you're seeing this live session and number one, you're not a part of Primeverse, uh, what are you doing? Tap in. It's a free community, our free trading community where we do live sessions, trade ideas. We have scanners. You get exclusive access to the inverse fair value gap indicator and much more. Okay, the community is fantastic. We do in-person events all over the world, all the different places that people were dropping in the chat where they're tuned in from. We are going to be coming to a place near you to do an event. If not, we've already, if we haven't already done an event near you or in the same city as you. So lots of great opportunities to tap in with the Primeverse community. And I'll start by saying that. Number two, the inverse fair value gap feedback that I've had over the past month and a half, being that we've opened this beta and kind of been in the testing phases with this scanner, with this indicator, has been phenomenal. And I really wanted to say thank you guys for helping to put this indicator together, because a lot of the changes for V2 came directly from you guys. I mean, these are all settings that you guys asked for. The ability to adjust the colors, the ability to, toggle on and off a certain number of TPs and adjust based on risk reward where those TPs are placed. Okay. And so there's a lot of things that we've taken into consideration from feedback from you guys to make this indicator better. And fundamentally, nothing's changed. The indicator works the same way as it did before, but now it's V2 version. There's more user customizability, and it's a lot more straightforward to use, a little bit less confusing than the previous version. This is the previous version. You'll notice that there's always two parameters being given, and sometimes it's kind of hard to see, especially for you guys when we're on streams. You might look at this and be like, I can hardly even make out what that says in terms of the entry parameters. Well, V2 solves all of that. Number one, it's only going to show one setup by default. You can change that in settings. So you can actually show multiple setups if you'd like, right? Previous setups. You can actually toggle on how many max setups this will give you. And you can also choose to hide recent setups. So if I had, let's say, this cell and we were looking at this together live and I wanted to just highlight this in hindsight, now that we're, a couple hours, or actually this is like, midnight yesterday, I can actually go in and I can hide the two most recent setups and just focus on this previous one to do a lesson or whatever the case may be. So that's also, mostly something I put in for myself just to be able to educate and, teach a little bit more effectively with this. But yeah, man, there's lots of customization, lots of things you're going to be able to do that you weren't able to before, right? Even just making the text size bigger, the overall line boldness more visible as well is just some minor changes that actually make a big difference for everybody. So yeah, man, we're gonna be using this on the session today. Just wanted to go over that with a quick, you know, tip of the iceberg, Spark Notes version of what the updates basically consisted of for the indicator. But let me know in the chat box, drop a two if you've been using the indicator, if you've been enjoying the scanner, if you're excited for the V2 beta, which is going live this weekend, and this version of the indicator is going to be released to everybody inside of Primeverse that's already used the first version, or anybody that decides to apply for the beta in moving forward. So, I'm definitely excited to get this thing out to you guys and get some more feedback and make it even better over time. Um, amazing, amazing, amazing. So, what is the outlook for today for CPI? All right, let's take a look at what we had develop from our last live session, which was Wednesday inside the community. So, for those of you that were on Wednesday's session, something that we left off after doing a great training. Wednesday was a great training, majority of the session because price action was just literally chopping after NFP release. But the first thing that I'll go over and mention is that we were talking about specifically waiting for price to take out these highs, okay, and then offer potential inverse fair value gap entries here to go lower. Which, by the way, when we're on these sessions, sometimes there are zones or areas that I share that don't get traded into during the live session. But what you can do is you can set alerts. And I would encourage everybody on the session to set alerts when I'm sharing the points of interest for today, because we might not see them get traded into during the live session between now and 9 a.m. Eastern over the next hour or so. So it's important to set alerts at these areas because this was a zone that, we were on our live session around here. And we did end up trading into this zone. And there did end up being a beautiful inverse fair value gap entry right here. If we were to throw on the IFVG indicator, there was one that was shared on the 5-minute time frame and also smaller time frames directly out of this area. And that's the beautiful thing with the indicator, right? Is, what you could have done is set an alert above this high or set an alert above these highs. And as soon as you see, oh, price is trading in this area, because you can set alerts on TradingView, of course, you can then just watch the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5-minute time frame and take any sort of inverse fair value gap setups that are being given from the indicator, right? And this ended up being an area we consolidated in for a period of time, but ultimately, ended up selling off from quite nicely. Okay, and the inverse fair value gap indicator is always just going to give parameters every single time there's a fair value gap inversion. Every single time there is one, that's going to produce new parameters, right? But yeah, man, we ended up selling off nicely from this area. And then even during New York session yesterday, there were some really good selling opportunities. But this was that zone that we were mentioning on Wednesday's session. We ended up projecting from that. We consolidated pretty much all of, London session, had a nice sweep of liquidity going into New York, sold off, retraced, and then melted like freaking 2,000 pips. It was insane. So maybe some of you guys observed this and witnessed that yesterday. But that's kind of the update from Wednesday's session. Beginning of the week, I mentioned that I want to see price take out a lot of these lows on the hourly time frame, which we've now seen happen. Okay, so all of this is kind of, you can just delete all of it because we've already seen a capture of pretty much all of that in terms of liquidity. Now, while I would like to potentially see price trade lower on gold, and I think this is still on the table, based on the price action we're seeing today so far, we're going to drop to the 15-minute time frame to go over this. Price action is looking really good to trade higher to capture these highs at around 49.95, probably trade back up to 5K. So really, my bias for today's CPI session is to see perhaps some sort of a false spike lower, but ultimately a continuation higher with the news release. Maybe we don't get a false spike. Maybe we just trade higher with the news release. But ideally looking to target these highs with some form of buys. Now, if you're inside the Primeverse community, there was a buy that was shared from one of our signal providers from here. So a lot of you are probably already in these buys or closed out in profit. I know I personally took this setup about an hour and a half ago or so when the idea was initially shared. So a lot of us are already positioned in buys from this area, at least for the people that are inside of Primeverse. Maybe you missed that setup. It's all good. Don't chase a trade. Don't there's no point in chasing a setup, right? But we did end up taking buys from the order block back here after capturing this low, and there was also a good inverse fair value gap setup in here as well. But for today, what I'd like to see for the or not NFP, but CPI release is potentially a return to this order block. All right. And we have an overlapping fair value gap here on the 5-minute as well. So really my anticipation with CPI is, potential false spike lower for buying opportunity to, ultimately see this thing trade higher towards these highs. Okay. We don't need to see this. We could just see price trade towards the highs. It's very, very possible, right? We don't need to get a retracement, but if we do, you best believe I'm going to be looking for buys to then target these highs for sure, 100%. So in terms of current price, we're about, 250 pips away from this point of interest, which might seem like a lot, but for gold recently, I mean, that's nothing. We had a 5-minute candle that printed like 400, 500 pips yesterday. So, it's a volatile season, we'll say, for Goldilocks. But this is definitely a key area that I'm looking for price to potentially return to. 15-minute time frame as well. You can see this, or little fair value gap is also visible, also relevant. So personally, I'm going to be setting an alert at this low specifically. This is around 49.53. If you want to set an alert at the same area, I would encourage you to do so. And if at some point during the New York session and while we're live on session here, we see price trade into this area, I'll personally be looking for buys. Okay, we could potentially even set a limit order on this. I would be comfortable setting a limit, and the limit would look something along these lines. All right, I'd be looking to set a buy limit on gold from like 49, 47-ish, SL 49.35, and then looking to target, these highs for about a 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio setup. So this is based on the 5-minute time frame perspective. Pretty solid. I mean, in terms of stop loss size with gold's volatility, this is like pretty reasonable, I would say. The only thing I'll mention is that if you're going to place a limit order, a buy limit, a pending order on this, okay, it's important to understand what's possible with news when the release happens. All right, if you set a limit order before news, it's possible that the news could release at 8:30 and this thing gets freaking ripped through. Like ripped through, and you experience slippage, and maybe you lose more than you were expecting on that particular setup. That's possible. Okay, that happens. So if you're going to set a limit order, my encouragement to everybody is to make sure you're using reduced risk, not proper risk, reduced risk. So if you are, let's say, for example, 1R, okay, this is 1R represents what you risk every single trade. Hopefully it's the same every single trade. If it's not, I pray for you to find profitability just risking the same amount every single trade. That's really, the best approach to trading. And that actually is financial advice. Okay. If we're giving any financial advice, that's what it is right there. It's to risk the same dollar amount every single trade or the same percentage every single trade. Because that's where consistency and risk to reward, these types of things are going to actually play out favorably for you. If you're risking a different amount every single trade, I could have 3 wins in a row and then just blow all 3 wins and lose some more because I was, risking just an unreasonable amount on the next trade that I take. Okay. The reason I like risking the same amount every setup is if this 1-to-3 risk reward ratio trade gets hit out and I lose, guess what? I could lose this trade 3 times in a row, win it once, and be back at break even because it's a 1-to-3 and I'm risking the same amount every single trade. So hopefully that resonates. But point is, and what I was saying if normally you're risking, I don't know, $50 a trade or $10 a trade, okay, maybe on this buy limit, you risk a little bit less than that. So maybe I'm risking $45 on the setup or $8 on the setup. Okay. So a slightly reduced risk. You're still basically risking 1R, but in case there's any sort of slippage, you're giving yourself more wiggle room. It's like if this was my SL and I'm risking $45 on this trade, okay? If I get an experienced slippage and we see, price maybe, gap down to like 49.28 or 49.25, I'm probably going to lose more than $50, but it's not going to be nearly as much as if I was, actually risking a full 50 on this setup. I'd probably be, losing like 75 or 80 in the event that there was slippage. So slightly reduced risk is just setting yourself up to, you know, it might still sting if you experience slippage, right? But it's going to sting less. It's going to hurt less if you're using reduced risk. So that's what I would mention and say for, using a buy limit or a sell limit, prior to a major news release like CPI. However, I will say if we were to consolidate in here for the next 30 minutes before the news releases, I don't really see a move that leads to slippage at the time of release. I mean, we're 200, almost 300 pips away from this particular point of interest. So for us to experience slippage, like we would literally need to experience, and this is possible, we could see this. We would need to see another massive, massive down candle like what we saw back here yesterday. And yeah, slippage is like, price moves so quickly that it doesn't trigger your stop loss at the price you set, right? So for that kind of a move to happen in like a few seconds and you experience slippage when we're already 300 pips away from our point of interest, it's very unlikely. So anyways, just food for thought. Just wanted to kind of preface that. But this is a point of interest that I'm looking at. In terms of the entry parameters, I'm going to type these out on screen. Buy limit idea. Okay, not financial advice, just an idea for educational purposes. Making sure I'm being very clear about this. Okay, entry. I think my shift key is cooked, ladies and gentlemen. I think my shift key is cooked. I'll just be spamming it. So entry area, we're going to give it like a zone. Is realistically anywhere inside this fair value gap is what I would be looking for. So that's, between 49.45 and 49.50, we'll say. Um, that's really the entry area. Personally, if I were to set a limit because it's, a pending order, what you could do is you could split your risk into like 2 or 3 positions within this range. So maybe first position is at 49.48, second position is 49.46, third position is 49, 45. Okay. You could do that. If you're trading with the smallest lot size, 0.01, just take it from the top of the zone at 49.50 or 49.48-ish, where this fair value gap starts. Okay. That would be my suggestion in terms of your entry price. SL or invalidation. My shift key is actually cooked, boys. We're gonna have to fix this. I'm gonna have to like take a vacuum to it or something. I think there's like something underneath it. Weird. It's all good though. We'll get it fixed. And then yeah, man, stop loss 49.35. I mean, TPs are going to be pretty simple to place here, right? TP1, we're going to be basing it off risk to reward. So, TP1 49.60 at a 1-to-1 risk to reward. TP2, we're looking at whatever the high in this area is, to be honest. But we'll roughly say like 49.70. Okay. Actually, 49.70 is a little bit less than a 1-to-2. Excuse me. 1-to-2 would be like 49.73, it looks like. It's kind of a weird number, though. We'll keep it at 49.70. And then TP3, you could swing trade this beyond TP3, by the way, if this setup ends up sticking. But for, gold, I find it's just better to like TP, like just take what you can get and run with it. Um, Yeah, I mean, I see us reasonably trading back to like 49.95, and that would be for just shy of a 1 to 4 risk to reward. So these are the entry parameters. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop this setup in the chat box. I'm also gonna drop this on PV Trade Insights. Okay. So that way, everybody can get this potential idea. Gold buy limit. And then let me do this real quick. Just give me a second here to structure this, you guys. Okay, cool. And then let me do boom. Drop this in the YouTube chat for y'all where the idea was sent. Are you talking about the goal setup from earlier? That was sent on the PV Trade Insights chat. Let me send you Aldenz. I'm gonna send you the link to that, by the way. Um, I just sent that to you on Telegram, bro. If you want to take a look. Okay, let me put this in the YouTube chat for you guys. Wow, that looks super ugly in the YouTube chat. I'm not gonna lie, but it's all good. Okay, cool. And then let me put this out um let me put this out on PV Trade Insights real quick. Bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen, as I set this up. 49, 45, 49.50. $49.35. And then TPs, we're looking at 49.60. Cool. And then let me do this. Appreciate everybody's patience. Just want to make sure everybody is in a position to take advantage of this idea, should we get it. All right, I think we're good to go here. Please enter an entry price. Huh? I did though. Oh, hold up. I think I know why. Hmm. Why is this giving me a hard time posting? One sec. You like the Jeopardy music? You guys like Jeopardy? Hold on. Hold on, let me get the Jeopardy music. Jeopardy music. Yeah, this is gonna be Jeopardy. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay. You guys ready? Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a challenge posting this to the PV Trade Insights. It's giving me a validation error. Validation error. Um, I don't know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta drop this in the signal providers chat. Are there any signal providers on the call that can forward this for me? I'm tripping. Can't post this idea for some reason. Pending idea with these parameters. Can someone post for me? Code name is IFEG King, formerly known as Big D. Yeah, that was probably like the funniest shit ever on Sunday. All right. Cool. Cool, man. So, anyways, we'll hopefully get that sent out to everywhere it's meant to be sent out. Did you get it and end up getting any complaints about Big D? Yeah. Yeah, they deleted the signal and we're like, you can't do that. It's not professional. So I was like, all right, I get it. That's valid. You know, the Big D just intimidated them. You know, I would be scared too. I would be shook too. You know, it's all Sam's fault in the chat. I blame Sam. He was the one that came up with the idea, man. No, I take responsibility though. I definitely, you know, made the decision at the end of the day to like just go for it. But it was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. All right, well, guys, I'm gonna set this myself because you already know, or maybe you don't know, there have been instances where I have been on sessions and shared ideas and not actually participated in them myself because I forgot to set the limit. So bear with me here as I set this myself because I refuse to, you know, re-experience that reality. Um, and yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, cool. So I got three entries set here. Split risk. And I'm probably gonna use the rest of my risk when we actually trade down to this area, if we trade down to this area, you know. And if it's an L, it's an L. If it's a W, it's a W. You know what I mean? Let's see what happens. So that's the outlook for gold. Let's take a look at euro. So this is an idea that I gave earlier in the week. By the way, if you have this limit set, you can delete it. I did mention this on previous sessions. This was sent out in PV Trade Insights on Sunday, I think it was. And I didn't want to keep this buy limit unless, or sorry, let me rephrase that. I was only going to keep this buy limit if we retraced prior to seeing these highs swept. But because we saw the highs swept first and this trade never actually activated, you can delete this. It's an old idea. It's still a point of interest. So I'd still be curious to see what happens in the zone. But I'm not looking to keep that limit anymore just because all of our targets already got smacked pretty much. So So yeah, man, if we got, let's see, 15 minutes until the news releases, Euro USD, obviously very, very bullish to start the week. Likely that the high of the week is set. Uh, Not guaranteed, but I would say pretty likely. I would maybe be curious to see if we could get a run on some highs this morning. So, 15-minute time frame perspective, this is what we're working with. We have London session high, or actually, this is Asian session high. During London session, we saw a sell off capturing all of these lows. We're getting a bounce. We got a retracement. So far, we're respecting this order block and mitigating this fair value gap, and we're just consolidating right now. Okay. The way that I approach news is very simple. Number one question I'm asking myself is, where is the money? All right. Where is the money, and where has money already been captured? Where has liquidity already been captured? So for me, we already took some sell side liquidity beneath these lows. And aside from, the 830 low, which was from NFP on Wednesday, I mean, most of the liquidity on the sell side's been taken, at least in terms of where we're currently trading. Whereas on the buy side, we have lots. Okay. There's lots of liquidity here that hasn't been really touched since, Wednesday, essentially. So I wouldn't be opposed to, if we get like a spike lower with news, maybe looking for an inversion to then take buys to target these highs. That could be favorable. Or alternatively, we see a spike higher with news and then potentially take out all this liquidity, and then we look for potential shorts. Okay, that's what I'm going to be ultimately looking for Euro USD. So I'm going to set an alert at this high and these highs. Really, these highs would be cheeky. If we could take these highs out, I would certainly be looking for shorts out of this whole area. This is like one fat order block. If we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we got this 4-hour fair value gap, and kind of in this point of interest as well for an order block to potentially be mitigated. So something like this would be kind of of interest for me. False spike higher, definitely could look for sells. Is there a sell limit I would be looking to place on this? I mean, not really. I think I'd prefer to just wait for the news release and then go from there. GU consolidating. We're approaching TP3 on this particular idea that we shared on Monday. We took sells from here on Monday, and this is still developing favorably. This remains my bias right here. I shared this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Oh no, you know what? I shared this yesterday on Instagram Live. I was like, when did I mark this up? I talked about this yesterday, but I didn't do a live session yesterday. It was an Instagram Live that I talked about this. But this is kind of a clean area. So we swept these highs. This is 9 a.m. 9 a.m. candle print. And order block fair value gap left behind. We still haven't traded to it yet, which is nice. We did sweep these lows during London, which I was kind of not wanting to see, but we ended up seeing it anyways. Buys up to this area could be favorable to then take sells. Just going to throw that out there. I'm not positioned at any buys personally because I like sells, better than the buys. But I would definitely be curious to see if we could get shorts from here on GU. This might actually be limit worthy, potentially. It just really depends on like how volatile the CPI release is, because this could also get traded through very, very easily. We could return to like this. This could get stopped out very easily. Just depending on how news releases. So I'm not going to set a limit on this. I'm just going to observe this. If you guys wanted to, this is a 1 to 3 risk to reward. Entry at the top of the fair value gap off the open of this order block. Stop above the high, targeting these lows. Very simple setup. Better risk to reward than the first sell that we took on Monday. But the same target. So that is something to consider. Something to consider for sure. Watch for sells. Okay. And then obviously 135, 800 is our TP3 on the sells from Monday. So this is gonna be this is cheeky. I like this. I like this. I'm gonna share this in the chat box with you guys. put this in the chat box. Too many social channels. Yeah, I hear that. It's true. Where are your chart? I've been dropping them in the chat. For gold and GU, these are both in the chat. What about the fair value gap at 49.20? Yeah, we could trade down there for sure. For sure. I think this is on the table as well. If this gets invalidated, that would be an alternative point of interest for me. 100%. 100%. If this gets invalidated, we will likely trade and sweep this low as well, and then we could look for potential buys out of this. That would be my kind of backup in terms of points of interest. But we're getting this sell-off, which I like. We're getting this sell-off, which I like on gold. So we'll see if we can get down into this point of interest either before news or after news. We could get swept. It's possible, right? That's why I was saying use reduced risk, because we could get swept at the time of release. But buys could still remain valid if we trade into this area. You know? Guys, give me 3 minutes. What I'm gonna do is step away for 2 to 3 minutes. We'll be back in time for the release. I'm just gonna put on some tunes so you guys aren't just like sitting here bored. But give me a couple minutes here, and then we'll continue with the session. How do I hold on? Where did my shout out to Chris Luno one time? He's always providing the beats during the live sessions. We'd love to see it. Do I have a be back soon screen? I have like a starting soon screen. Here, let's do this. I'm just gonna leave my boy Chris on screen, and then I'll be back in like 2-3 minutes, you guys.
Sweating all the tears out. It's a lingering dream. Tell me if it's good now, 'cause I can't decide. Help me find my reason, take away my pride. Sometimes I find it hard to see. Sometimes I find it strange to feel.
Cristiano slaps. Not gonna lie. Look at him. He's just vibing out, man. Just having a good time. Some of his mixes, he's like in the most dope spots. Like, look at this one, man. He's in Mount Fuji. Or at Mount Fuji. Like, look at that, man. That's a vibe. Maybe I'll like start DJing or something. I feel like that could be an alter ego. Donnie's alter ego. DJ Donnie. Jeez. Jeez. What is going on? I'm coming on to jazz music. Hydrated hippie was good. Good to see you. Good to see you. I just had to step away for like 2, 3 minutes. Just a question: is it worth risking $10 on a smaller account with 70? Yeah, I would do it for sure. I would do it. I mean, it's unlikely you're going to be able to risk less than that, because it's a baby account. Um, Anytime I've traded with like $100, I've always risked like 10 to 20 on a setup. Um, okay, let me catch up on the chat box. Thanks for the indicator. I got you. Community is the best. I'm glad you think so. I think so too. There's a reason that we're all here. Okay, cool. 4 minutes until the release. BTC, we're also seeing react nicely from the area we discussed on Sunday. If you guys are on this call right now and you're like, why like Donnie's showing these setups, like previous outlooks, like where were the calls, where were these areas discussed? It's all inside of Primeverse. So yeah, for those of you that aren't a part of the Primeverse community, we do multiple live sessions every single week, right? This is the one that you guys are currently on. Normally, this would be held exclusively inside of Primeverse, but because of the fact that my Zoom is still not upgraded, I haven't made the decision to upgrade my Zoom. Figured I would just stream it to YouTube because it maxes at 100% capacity. So, we got like, how many people are on here right now? 190 people or so. But yeah, so that's why we're streaming it on YouTube. But anyways, yeah, we got a bunch of people that do live sessions every single week. Sniper Sunday Outlook is on Sundays at 6 p.m. So that's like the market outlook call that I'll do. And then Wednesday live trading as well, Wall Street Wednesday. So these are held inside the Primeverse community, and then we got obviously trade alerts in our trade ideas chat. You've got the inverse fair value gap beta as well as other scanners like Zonar that you can use and you have access to inside of Primeverse. So yeah, man, that's Primeverse. For those of you guys that are not a part of the community, would love to have you. It's our free community. It costs $0 for life. So yeah, man. But yeah, this was an area that we discussed on Sunday. We traded into it, got a reaction, traded into it again, getting another reaction. So for BTC, man, yeah, I'd like to maybe see oh, we just had a 4-hour inversion, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Look at that, man. Actually, I don't usually use the inverse fair value gap indicator on higher time frames, but we're getting this on the hourly and the 4-hour. Nice little inversion here. So wouldn't be surprised if we run and see these highs taken at like 70K, 71K. Um, so this is a solid setup out of a point of interest. Us getting a 4-hour inversion here is pretty significant. Maybe we sweep this again, but I wouldn't want to see that. I think if we were to see that, I would probably want to see this thing trade lower. But this is looking kind of good as a setup. We just had a 5-minute inversion as well that already smacked TP1. Cool. All right, we got less than a minute until the release. I'm going to toggle off the indicator for now. And we'll watch, what was it? Gold and GU are like the two cleanest setups, in my opinion. So we'll pull these up on screen and kind of just observe. Is GU going to have its markup? No, it doesn't. Okay. It's all good. We'll just redraw it. So yeah, man, let's see what happens. We got 15 seconds or so. It could also be like a anticlimactic release because we also had NFP this week, which was also like a pretty insane, amount of volatility. So we'll see. We'll see what's good. Gold's flying. No pullback for us. Let's see if we false spike. I think we're probably going to take these highs on golds. Quite likely we take these highs out. Shorts are on the table for GU. Let's watch what happens in this area. Yeah, we smack those highs. Sometimes it just happens without us. Sometimes it just happens without us. Sad face. Tear rolling down his face. Oh, why not with me? Euro sweeping these highs as well. We got the second alert up here on EU. So we'll see. Yeah, this for shorts on EU looks good. This for shorts on GU also looks good. The area I was saying to put a limit was at the open of that order block, kind of the full fair value gap fill. So we haven't traded to that yet. And then targeting these lows would be clean for just about a 1 to 3. So let me set an alert on this on GU. We're going to see if we can get that. Euro's doing its thing. Pretty girthy 1 minute candle. Nothing too crazy though. 20 pips on a CPI release for GU is kind of light. Gold, on the other hand, wasted no time to fly. What was this? 300 pips? Yeah, 300 pips. Yeah, just shy of 300. So with this, I would be open to watching price action for potential shorts. Um, I'm open to that. I'm open to that. It's not what I was wanting. What I was wanting was to be a part of that move to capture these highs. And unfortunately, we just didn't get a retracement to our point of interest. But it's all good. It happens. You know. So this buy limit, I would I'm gonna keep it. Personally, I'm gonna keep it. Just because it's reduced risk. I still like the point of interest for a potential bounce. For you guys though, I would delete it. Okay. I would delete it and we can just observe price in this area. I have like, you know, quite significantly reduced risk on this position. So I'm not going to delete my limit personally. Because I like the area. We'll see what happens if we trade back into it, or not if, but when, because I'm pretty confident this is going to be a false spike and then we trade lower. But the reason I'm telling you guys to delete it is I think it's quite likely we trade to sweep these lows now. It's either this and we respect this zone, or we get a sweep of these lows. And I don't love these lows. Now that we've swept highs, it's quite likely we're going to run on the other side of liquidity, which is these lows. So that 49.20 area could very well be in play. But let's see what happens, man. We could also see a retracement and then this, ends up sticking, right? Like we end up getting a retracement and bouncing, or we retrace down here and bounce. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. GU didn't trade to our point of interest quite. Didn't quite trade to our point of interest. In terms of where I would want to look for shorts. We still have time though. This could very well develop higher over the next 15 minutes to then offer sells. And that's what I would be looking for on GU. What was the actual release for this? Yeah, slightly weaker release than expected. It's very subtle, it's very slight, so I wouldn't expect this to be a huge difference maker or impact in like dollar strength. Let me see the chat box. Is a buy limit valid on gold? I would delete the limit personally. if I was you guys, I'm not deleting it personally because I have very minimal risk on this and I'm okay keeping it because I still like the area for a potential bounce. But if I were you guys, I ultimately don't know what you guys are risking on the setup, right? So I would personally delete it if I was you guys and I had more than what I normally risk on a trade on there. Because even though I preach to like use reduced risk, I already know that there's some y'all that are like just completely disregarding that. So, you know, yeah. We already smashed all three TPs. So it's like, it just so happens to have happened without us. You know what I mean? So if we trade back to this area, it's still of interest, but I would probably, if I were you guys, delete the buy limit. Just set an alert. Set an alert at this low, 49.53, and then just watch price in this area, look for an inversion. That's literally all I would do on the 1 minute, just watch for an inversion. But yeah, man. And then in terms of where gold's trading to right now, again, I think this is just going to be a huge liquidity capture and then we pull back. Personally, I don't think there's really, unless we were to get candle closure above this on the 15 minute, which I think is unlikely. Candle closure on the hourly would be more significant, actually. Then I think it's likely we're going to, trade all the way back up to this area of consolidation. Um, but yeah, if anything, I'd be looking at this as like a super liquidity into flip and go for these lows, as I was mentioning. So yeah, just something to consider. On GU, kind of just chillaxing, not really doing a whole lot. Currency pairs are very slow. That's one thing I've learned after trading gold more than anything else recently is like currency pairs are mad slow. Like mad slow. Um in comparison to gold at least. You know what I mean? Like this is a 20 pip move already. You might look at that and be like, Donnie, that's it's 20 pips on GU in a couple minutes. That's fast for GU. And you're right. But I guess I'm comparing apples to oranges here. GU and gold move like it's like wow, 20, 30 pip move, crazy. And I'm looking at gold, it's like wow, 300 pip move. It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game for sure. Is the indicator update released yet? It is took about 10 seconds before release up 350. Nice. Nice. That's fire. That's fire. That's ballsy. I like it. I like it. Definitely pay yourself. Definitely pay yourself. If we were gonna flip, it would be, in my opinion, probably somewhere above here to flip and sell off. So I would definitely pay yourself. Take a little Friday withdrawal, go get some sushi or something. A little celly, little celebratory no risk, no reward kind of play. If anybody held that buy from this morning that we called out here, bro, you were up. Where was the buy? It was like 49.36 was the entry. Clean. Super clean. I'm pretty sure we smashed. Did we smash all TPs? Whoa, where did my chart go? Oh, there it is. What do we do? TP4. Yeah, the final TP is like 1,000 pip move, 50.57. All right, cool. Well, now we kind of just chill. We kind of just wait. We're going to see if we can get a setup over the next little bit with the indicator, the inverse fair value gap indicator. I'm going to take a look at a few other pairs and see what's going on. Gold's doing its thing. I would want to, if we're going to take shorts on gold above this high, what we would want to look for is an inverse fair value gap with the indicator. So, you know, that inversion, by the way, on gold was a banger. We didn't end up taking this, but if we go back into the replay mode, we had inversion right here. So shorts smacked TP1. And then was there inversion? Was it only the 3 minute? Oh, say word. It was only the 3 minute. So yeah, 3 minute gave entry. This is not actually an SL that got hit, by the way. One thing I'm noticing, and I'm going to have to make this update to the indicator, is that anytime a candle prints and that candle creates the inversion while also creating the low, it like notifies it as already being an SL hit, but it's, literally not the case. Um, but anyways, this 3 minute candle basically smashed both TPs after that 3 minute inversion. I thought there was a 1 minute one, but I guess not. Yeah, I guess this is all healthy price action. Anyways, I would want to see the 3 minute, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute create an inversion. Not really the 1 minute because, like, yeah, we're gonna potentially get an inversion here. You could take it. Like, don't get me wrong, you could take this if you wanted to. When this candle closes, like, you could take that. Um, but I think I would prefer to get like a 3 minute inversion. That would be my preference. 5 minute inversion is not going to be for time, so it's not really worth looking at that. 1 minute, 3 minute, we would need to see like this trade to go and create another high and then give inversion on the 3 minute. 1 minute time frame just gave inversion. So the indicator is producing, entry and exit parameters accordingly. The inversion took place right here. You have fair value gap, price respects it, and then we get candle closure through it. It's like the earliest sign of a potential reversal, and then this is where the entry and exit parameters are being developed using the scanner, using the indicator. So up to you guys. I mean, it's a valid setup. It's a valid setup. Um, we just swept a bunch of highs. So it's like for us to get a sell off here, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I would just be a little bit reluctant in that we could get another sweep of this high from, the minute the news released, and then get an inversion. And I think I would prefer to take that second inversion personally. So I'm going to hold off on taking an entry on this. It's up to you guys. If you want to take an entry, the parameters are on screen. They should be pretty visible and easy to see as well. And for the people that keep asking, the buy limit on gold is still relevant. However, it's more the area that's relevant. If I was you guys, I would delete the limit and just watch this area with a limit, or not a limit, but with an alert down here. That's what I would do if I was you guys. Me personally, I'm keeping the limit because it's reduced risk. The position that I took was like significantly reduced risk, so I don't really care if this hits SL. And I think it's more likely to hit SL now because of the fact that we already took out these highs. If we didn't take these highs out and we got to pull back first, be a higher probability setup. But now that we've already swept the liquidity, it's like this is still valid. We could still get a bounce from the area. We could still hit TP1 pretty easily if we get it, but this is more likely to go and attack the other side of liquidity now, which is like these lows. So that's why I'm saying for you guys to delete the limit. If you want to keep it, you can. I'm keeping it because I know what I'm risking on the trade, and it's like it's considerably less than what I normally risk. So yeah, man. Um, yeah, we're gonna kind of just continue to consolidate in here on gold. That's why I wasn't looking to take the sells. If we take a look at the previous setup that was given, it was based off this inversion. Now we're getting another inversion on the 1 minute, so it's kind of just choppy, right? We want to wait for price to develop a little bit more. I'm personally waiting for price to develop a little bit more before justifying a position. And again, what you could do, very simply put, is just watch the 3 minute. Literally just watch the 3 minute for potential inversions. And I think it's quite likely we're going to see this inversion entry opportunity to then target, this low. That's what I'd like to see. And we got like another 15 minutes that I'll be looking to potentially take that setup. Um, that's how long we're going to be live. We're only going to be live until about 9 a.m. But we'll see what happens over the next little bit. And then we do have Cohen's live session at 9 a.m. So, this is going to be a session that I'm personally going to tap in on in about 15 minutes. So if you're part of the Primeverse community, you can tap in for this. Anybody that's not a part of the Primeverse community, by the way, whoever invited you to this call, um, likely is a part of Primeverse, and you can ask them, "Hey, like, are you part of this Primeverse community thing, whatever?" And if they are, they'll be able to help you join. It's a free community. Um, if you're on this session and I invited you to be here, you can just message me uh, on Instagram, and we can talk. Happy to get you the info to get you set up and join Primeverse, so that you can join this session at 9 a.m. Okay, or you guys can literally. What's probably even easier if you guys want to join before, um, or not before, but around the time of 9 a.m. is you could go through and get this set up right here. Give me a second. I'll drop this in the YouTube chat. So this has all the info on Primeverse, has all the info on like what to go through and what to basically set up to join. Okay, this is the page it's going to bring you to. You sure you want to leave YouTube? Pull this up. Okay. This is a fact, by the way. We had more than 10 million in withdrawals last year inside the community, which is pretty dope. But there's a quick video that overviews Primeverse. If you want to watch it, you can. There's the section right here. It says get access free or get access now. And then just literally follow the steps on this page. Okay. And then the final step is this. And it forwards you to Telegram. It shoots me a message saying, hey, what are my next steps to join? So make sure you follow the steps in order 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And happy to get you plugged into Primeverse. If I invited you here, that's what you can go through. But interesting. So it's looking like we are getting a little bit of a move lower. Yeah, that buy setup that was given off the inversion, I knew was kind of a consolidation setup, so wasn't really worth considering. The initial shorts, a little bit of consolidation, starting to see a mark lower. For anybody that did take that, I'm not sure if anybody did. I didn't personally. But one of my mentors completely changed the paradigm that I have about trading. Um, he mentioned to me, this would have been back in 2019 it would have been. And I started learning from him. He was teaching smart money concepts. It was like the first time I ever really got introduced to smart money. And one thing that he mentioned that really left like a profound impact on me was no position is a position. No trade is a trade. Every day we come to the charts, we have multiple decisions that we make when we're doing analysis. And my deciding to not take any positions yet today, that in and of itself is a position. Because think about it. I can choose to apply risk to the market, which, I could lose a trade and, that's my risk, right? Is losing the trade. I could make money, that's obviously the risk to reward. But I can also decide not to apply any risk and be in just as good as a position as I was a second ago or a week ago because I'm not putting any money on the table unnecessarily, risking anything unreasonably. So no position is a position. So for me to be on a session, I know some of you guys, just being honest, are probably like, damn, like Donnie's been live for like over an hour and we haven't taken a trade. And it's like, yeah, we could stay on here for another 2 hours and not take a trade. I think that would be unlikely because I think there's going to be good opportunities on Cohen's session. That's why I'm going to jump on his session at 9 a.m. But no position is a position. It's really just training yourself to be disciplined and not feeling like you need to take a trade every single time you're on the charts. You know, so just something to consider. All right, what's EU and GU doing? EU, GU. Let's hide the indicator here. We're not really looking at anything from the indicator at the moment. Yeah, GU wicked the 50% of the fair value gap. We got a full pullback to fill this fair value gap. We're getting a bounce now. So Interested to see if we can get another sweep of this and potentially get a jab at shorts from the top of this fair value gap. I'm also not opposed to this high just being the high, and then we melt to 135,800 because we're already in sales from Monday. So it's like, I'm down for that too. Euro, we swept these two highs, left these ones intact. I'm still curious to see if we can get back to this fair value gap on the higher time frame to sell off. That's still on the table. It's only 8:50 a.m., guys. So we got 9:30 volatility, 10 a.m. volatility. There's still reason for us to be patient and looking for a setup. There's no more news that's really relevant for me this morning. You know, yeah, there's literally no more news today. So not really any sort of a news event that's going to lead to volatility. It's just going to be times of day. So 9:30, 10 a.m. both pretty volatile times of day, which is in 40 minutes and then about an hour from now. So we got lots of time, man. I'm gonna be chilling on the charts, until like 11 a.m. and we'll see if there's any opportunities. Hopefully the app that we use to send trade ideas um, fixes itself because if there is an opportunity later today when I'm off stream, I'm gonna send it into the signals chat. But it was giving me a hard time before when I tried to send out the limit here. So hopefully I can figure out what was going on with that. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see how the day progresses. It's been a good week for me. It's been a good week for me overall in terms of setups, in terms of trades. Um, trying to think of, did I take any losses this week? Where's my phone? I had a couple break evens. Oh yeah. Yeah, yesterday before I smacked the sells, I actually took an L on one of the inversion entries that I took. But then the same area basically ended up being where we sold off from on gold, so it was still, you know, a win from the same zone. Um and then yeah, GU was profitable. There were a couple of signals that didn't hit, so I have a couple L's from those. But that overall, we're up nicely on the week. I think this has been like let me see, on the week, a 30% week, if my math is correct. Which might seem insane, by the way. Like you might hear that and be like, "What the? That's crazy." But I risk 5% per trade personally, so it's not really that impressive. It's like what? 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. It's like 7R. It's really not that impressive. 7R on the week. Cool. Cool. Are you guys still awake in the chat box? Or are you guys sleeping, man? I feel like there hasn't been a single message in here for like time. You guys, am I boring or what is, I must be boring you guys. You guys are like, take a trade, Donnie. I can't stand just I'm itching. I'm like a actually I'm not gonna say that. Um I'm itching for a trade. Well, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. You guys are fiending. You guys are fiending for trades, aren't you? I can tell. You guys are like, oh my gosh, let me look at this pair. Let me look at that pair. Donnie's looking at these pairs. It's not really doing much. Let me go and find a trade myself. Relax, man. Just be a chill guy. Just be a chill gal. Let the market come to you, man. Why so serious? You like the Joker? I hope some of y'all got that reference. Otherwise, I'm like disappointed in the viewership, honestly. Um, oh, here's something we can do together. We can take a look at applicants and we can approve some applicants live together right now. We've got tons of applicants for the inverse fair value gap indicator. We have over 1,600 now. And some of you might already have been approved, by the way. So go and take a look. I think I approved like 900 yesterday. 900. So if you haven't already, okay, I'm going to drop this in the YouTube chat for those of you that have already applied. If you haven't applied, you can go on my Instagram and you can respond to this story. All right. Oh, if you haven't already. A lot of you already have done this. So, just hang tight. Check the link in the chat box, see if you have access to it. If you don't, you'll have access to it by Sunday for the V2, beta. But is this a trading view link? Lord Hendricks. Oh, the username's there. Nice. Lord Hendricks. All right, Lord Hendricks, I'm going to give you access right now. Everybody's getting access until the end of March because this is the second round of the beta. So if you're like, you know, wondering why I'm putting March 31st, it's because that is the timeline for the beta. Okay, it's going to be until round 2 is going to be until um until the 31st. By the way, guys, make sure you're inputting your TradingView username. This is what somebody input, and this is like not showing up. I don't know if they're on the call. Maybe they can confirm in the chat box. Jay, I'm not sure if Jay is on the call, but when I search this, it doesn't come up. Right, and it doesn't look like any of these are the one. So make sure you're putting in your TradingView username. Your TradingView username is very easy to find. Go on TradingView, click your little profile picture in the top left, and your username's right there. Right, because there's some people that I can't add because it's like not the right, And then some people put their emails. Put your actual TradingView username. Okay, everybody, when you apply. Sometimes the emails work because it's like the same. Uh, yeah, like this person's working, but put your TradingView username. Um, real quick, let's take a look at price action. So we're getting, yeah, respecting this fair value gap. I think gold's got more room to the upside before we get the inversion that I'm looking for personally. Euro and GU as well. I think both have more upside for potential shorts. I'm going to give this as an idea. I like this a lot as a point of interest, and I'm okay risking it for the biscuit here. GBP, USD sell limit, entry area. Actually, I'm just going to do entry price. Entry price, we're looking at 136,500. The 490 just for spread. SL 1.36. Some of you guys are dancing right now. Yes, a trade idea. Oh my gosh. I knew I stayed on the session for an hour and a half for a reason. This is the reason. I love trolling you guys, man. I love trolling you guys. All right. TP1, 1-to-1 risk to reward. TP2, 1-to-2 risk to reward. 1.36050. And then TP3, we're looking for that 135,800 still. Potentially lower than that, too. We could easily see this thing trade to even like 135 would be cool. What does a weekly candle look like right now? Kind of Bumbleclot's looking kind of weak. Bumbleclot. So yeah, man, those are the parameters on GU. I'm actually gonna set a sell limit on this. We'll see if we get it. If we do, great. If we don't, great. If it's a losing trade, great. You know, use proper risk. No blown accounts out here. All right. And GBP We're gonna end the session right here, guys, after this. Bro, my shift key is actually dead. Sell limit. I like this, ladies and gentlemen. I like this. I like it. I like it a lot. And then we drop this in the YouTube chat box. Reading instructions, key skill, facts. That is so facts. Is it the updated one? Yeah, that's the updated one. Mr. T Balder. That link that I dropped is the 2.0 version. Where to request inside of Primeverse. If you're inside of Primeverse, I'll show you. To request access for the indicator, you go to, well, number one, if you're not in Primeverse, this is where you want to start on my Instagram. Which, by the way, if you're not connected with me on Instagram, definitely, tap in. I'll drop that in the chat as well. But if you're in Primeverse, way easier. Just literally go to Primeverse, and then we're gonna update the way that this tab looks. It's gonna have 2 different trainings on how to use the indicator, and it's gonna actually redirect you to the V2 version of the indicator. But you go through and you click Get Access, and then there's the form. You fill out the form, and then once you filled the form out, you're automatically added here to the list. And yeah, we're going through one by one and adding everybody. And there's 1,600 people. So by Sunday is the goal. If you haven't applied, apply now. By Sunday, you'll get approved. If you apply next week, it's going to be every 24 hours. We're going through and we're approving everybody. So yeah, that's how you get access. But this is the idea. This is a sell idea I'm going to leave you guys with. Cohen's session is now live. If we jump over to Primeverse, you're going to see his session right here. Let's all go jump on his session. For those of you that are in Primeverse, if you're not in Primeverse, I want to welcome you in advance to Primeverse and tap in for Cohen's session. He's going to go over some live trading, and I'll also share some ideas in the chat box as price continues to develop, because I do think we're going to get gold shorts at some point, and also potentially GU shorts. Okay, I already gave you guys the parameters for GU, but yeah, man. So let's tap into Cohen's session, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and do so right now. And I'll see you all on Sunday. I'm going to see you guys all on Sunday. It's full. Is it really full? Hold up. Let me double confirm this. No, I don't think it's full. I just joined. Yeah, it's not full. It's not full. So go tap in with his session, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah. Yeah, let's have a great rest of the trading day. I'll see you guys all on Cohen's session. And the passcode it's 0. 0 is the passcode. 0 is the passcode. But yeah, fam, much love. We'll be back on Sunday for market outlook. Let's see what happens with GU. And we'll take a look and consider what gold's doing as well as price action develops during New York session. But much love, everybody. See you all on YouTube again very soon at some point in the near future. And see you all inside of Primeverse If you're not already in there, again, you can just reach out to me on Instagram or reach out to whoever invited you to today's live session. But yeah, fam, much love, and I'll chat to you guys very very soon. Peace out. Have a fantastic weekend. Cheers.